First of all, thank you to CBL and for allowing me to go ahead and speak to such an august company out here, and all my guest speakers, my co-speakers rather. Thank you all so much. I think it's been great learning. What I'm going to be talking about is this book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. I'm sure a lot of you out here would have already read it. This is a book by Robin Sharma, and it talks about a lawyer, a very, very successful lawyer who was at the highest peak of his career, had loads of luxuries in life, had a whole number of vehicles at his disposal, and one fine day while he was standing in the court, he just collapsed. He had a heart attack, and he had to be taken to the hospital. After he recovered, he just realized that he needed to do something different. And what he did was he went ahead and sold all his prized possessions, and among them was this Ferrari, and that's how the name came, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. And he went ahead and just moved to India in search of peace and in search of knowledge. When he moved to India, someone guided him, and he went into the Himalayas, and there he met the sages of Savannah, the sages of Savannah, and then that's where he gained his knowledge. He came back after that, and he went to his friend's place and a colleague called John, and there he kind of narrated the entire story and how it went. Now I'll speak, while I can go ahead and actually keep talking for hours because it's such an amazing book, but I'll probably speak about just a few snippets of that. The first one is about a cup. What John did was he took a cup and he kept pouring water, and after a point of time the water started overflowing, and that is a very, very direct kind of connection with our mind. Day on day, on a day basis, we come ahead, we interact with so many people across, we do things, so many different kind of thoughts keep filling up in our minds. Now, if we do not go ahead and empty that cup, we will not go ahead and have space to go ahead and fill up something fresh and something which is rejuvenating. So the first thing is learn to empty your cup. The next thing after that, he spoke about was he gave a story wherein he spoke about a beautiful garden with a lighthouse and with a sumo wrestler who came out wearing just a wire, a pink wire, metal wire, just to bare minimum to go ahead and cover his modesty, wearing a stopwatch, and that place had lovely roses and a winding path of diamonds. Now all of these have a particular connotation. I will pick up a few. To start with, the garden. The garden is very symbolic of the human mind. If you want to plant roses in that garden, it can be a beautiful garden, but if they're just bushes out there, it'll not be appealing. What this talks about is that all of us as human beings, on a day-on-day basis, there are a lot of negative thoughts which keep creeping into our minds. If we allow them to stay in our minds, it'll just start sapping us of all our energy that we have. And once it starts sapping us, it starts taking an impact on our physical being. And that is where the problems start. What's going to be important out there is if you can go ahead and choose a way wherein you can start converting those thoughts into a positive outcome, an outcome which is full of exhilaration, excitement. What that will help us to do is it'll go ahead and help us break from the shackles of the past and become the architect of a great future. That is in our hands, right? It's always said that the mind is a wonderful servant, but it's a very cruel master. If you allow negative thoughts to seep in your mind, after a point of time, what you will find is it'll start playing havoc in your life, and that is so critical. It is so damaging for all of us, right? It's we have a journey. We all have all our and that's something which I was also doing was corporate life, lots of stuff happening, going ahead, working, spending no time on my own self, till the time I realized, and this is so true, that what is the importance of reflection? It is important for us to sit back and reflect on our journey so far. What is it that we've done? What is it that we want to move ahead with? A lot of times people come back and say that, what, sorry, I have such a busy schedule, I do not get time for anything. No, it is very, very synonymous to someone who's driving a car and needs to refuel, but because he is so busy driving, he just goes on. Life will just catch up, right? And you will not be able to come out of that cobweb. So it is very, very important to sit back, reflect. The other thing what also happens, and it happens a lot, is the fact that, humans, we have the tendency to go ahead and compare. As some of my co-speakers also spoke about it, we need to run our own race, right? It does not help if we go ahead and we are working with people, or rather running a rat race wherein we are competing against people. It'll just go ahead and get us into that race, get us into that mindset, that psyche, which we'll find very, very difficult to break out of. So a great person is a person who comes back and says that, I think I'm a better person than what I was in the past. That is your own race. Keep running your own race. All right. A couple of things, and which is a learning which I always try and kind of implement. So one is the idea of opposition thinking. What opposition thinking does is the fact that if you have a negative thought on mind, go ahead and think just the opposite of it. How can it be a wonderful, wonderful experience? The moment you start doing that, you will be filled, you will be rejuvenated with energy, right? Just living with that negative thought will not help. And the second thing is a thing called creative envisioning. Creative envisioning is something wherein, you want to envision, let's say, there's someone who's studying law and he wants to become a judge in the future, right? Go ahead and start envisioning yourself as a judge. If you start doing that, that in itself will put in positive pressure on you to go ahead and strive for that goal. These are a couple of things which I really try and implement. Moving on, of course, in that story which I spoke about, there was a thing about the rose. Now, the rose is nothing else. It actually symbolizes your act of giving. It's always said that the rose, when you hand it over to someone, the smell of the rose stays back on the hand of the giver as well, right? So if you go back and if you continue going ahead and giving back something to the society, trust me, you will gain back much more. And it's not the gain which I'm talking about, material stuff, but the satisfaction of being able to positively impact someone's life is the biggest satisfaction you can ever get. Last but not the least, right? And this is something which is very, very important to me, and I will just want to end it off at this. If you start controlling your thought, you will start controlling your mind. If you start controlling your mind, you will start controlling your life. And once you have your life in control, you will become a master of your own destiny. Thank you.